I'll talk about whatever. To be honest, for me, it's not something I'm going to. Yeah. Normally, people are jumping topics whenever they've already like conceded. They basically have to concede their first one, and it doesn't look good
So
to an
they're
audience
eating on
either.
something else. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't look good to an audience either. So like, what's the point? I'll let them jump around. Like, I'm not gonna suffer for it. Hello?
Hey, what's up?
Yeah.
So apparently, so you're super quiet on my end, but apparently on my stream you're perfectly audible. So I'll work with it. It's fine.
Sure then. I guess I have no idea. I have no idea what's going on for you then, my dude.
My ears, and I'm a bit, a bit only slightly alarmed.
All right.
Okay, so yeah, what's going on?
I don't know, dude. I got back home from work today. I did normal things, talked with a couple people, and then I was like, oh shit, yeah, I have the interview thing. I should probably do that now.
Let me try one last thing.
I honestly, okay.
This might be this. Hold on, give me a second. All right, hello.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, there we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Did you fix it?
No, I think it's just my headphones. Yeah, can you hear me? I don't know. It's fine now.
Yeah. All right. I guess it was just your headphones. I don't. Okay then.
Okay. So yeah, I said you went to work, and okay, so you can. Okay, so our one viewer that I have right now, everyone can hear everyone. Okay, all the audio's good, no complaints. Okay, I'm so sorry. I'm a fucking boomer. Okay, I know you're like 19 or whatever you are, but I'm like almost 30, so I
Yeah.
do not understand technology. Actually,
gonna
that's not fair.
you're gonna
I grew up
drop
with internet.
dead.
I should know this shit.
You're gonna drop dead before you figure this one out, buddy. It's okay. You can accept it.
All right, so you're not a. I thought you were a full-time streamer.
I'm not a full-time streamer. No, I don't make that much off of streaming. I wish I
what?
did though. No, but not a full-time streamer. Actually, I'm not as I don't really view streaming as like a large part of my life. Actually, it's kind of just something I do for on the side for fun. You know what I mean?
So you're not even trying to like become a large character or anything like that.
No, I'm not particularly. I do it because it's fun for me, and then I don't do it when it's not fun for me. So it's kind of like whatever, you know?
So why debate? So it seems like what I've seen you do, and you could do other things as well. It seems like a lot of what you do is debating people.
It kind of turned into that, I suppose.
Okay.
I started off my YouTube thing. I started off on YouTube as a commentary YouTuber, a commentary channel. I used to talk a lot about drama.
Stuff?
What?
Like essays and things like that, or
Some of them were essays, but most of them weren't. They were really like short videos, actually. They were like short gameplay commentary videos, something like between Leafy and Optimus, right? So some of them were like reaction commentary. A lot of it like played on like comedy or just like news in general, right? And then later on, I started getting into a lot more the drama with giving people in the commentary community, and I took that into doing debate. So that was not a really big thing, but I've always been very invested in politics, even from a fairly young age, right? Um, I did not realize that like the discussions around politics in the commentary community were going to be as shit as they were. I think that's where a lot of it like it started like to shift into political content. I saw a lot of people making like really fucking stupid takes on Twitter about politics, and then that became into like a certain political debate I'd have with commentary YouTubers. And then I kind of moved that over into like I talk about basically whatever I want to stream. Sometimes it's debating people. People really like to see me debate. That was like a huge focal point. It's what I'm mostly known for at this point, is being a debater. But it's like it's something I like to do it. I mean, it's fun. It's whatever. But it's something I started
style
out
and
to do.
affectation, or are you that because you're like you have an aggressive performance? You know, not aggressive, but it is how it is.
Mhm.
Like, is that an affectation, or are you like, is that what you're like if you're like arguing with your boyfriend or with your mom or something? It's like, look, I need, you know, are you calling them like retards and like?
This is something really weird, okay? I'm the exact same on the internet as I portray myself, or like in the real on the internet. I'm the exact same as I am in the real world. There's
So
no
yes,
difference.
you are
It
like
is
that.
completely one to one. Yes, I'm a very bombastic person. I'm very hyperbolic in the ways that I speak, even the ways that I act. I think it's kind of just it's a natural thing that I've kind of developed over time. I find that people are pretty receptive to somebody who is for lack of a better term, at least confident in what you're saying, right? The idea that you're going to be emotive, expressive, it has been generally something that has worked for me. It's something I've developed over time. It's something like, oh, it kind of works, you know.
Felt bad for upsetting somebody? Like, have you ever had any like real problems with that?
Have I ever felt bad for upsetting somebody?
Yeah,
Well,
you're like, oh man, I made them cry or something. I don't know.
sometimes they deserve it though.
You know, maybe so. That's fine.
I don't. Sometimes I am too mean. I've actually noticed that a lot recently. I'll look back on older debate performances and I was like, I am an asshole in here. I got this person. They haven't done anything yet, but I can tell they were going to do something that was going to piss me off, and I come off as really aggressive towards it.
Immediately.
Um, no, like the recently I had a debate with Aiden, and I got way more aggressive with Aiden earlier on
The
because
Ukraine one?
yeah, no, I got way more aggressive with Aiden earlier on than I would with most people, just because I have experience with Aiden. I know what he was doing in that debate. You know what I mean?
What was he? I don't know him at all. What was he doing that you caught?
Um, a lot of it was he has this tendency to like accuse people of just like really random like dirty debate tactics in the middle of like a conversation, even if they're not present. He'll complain about like interruption. He said that I was moving the goalpost and then described a straw man, and then it was really gay conversation. But every
Very
single
debate
talk I have
pro-y,
with him,
honestly.
every single talk I have with him, most of the time he's fine to like talk to. I just don't like debating the guy because I feel like a lot of the time it does turn in very, very hostile. I just I've been debating long enough on the internet that I'm really sick and tired of like some of the shit that is pulled in conversations.
Yeah, no, the only thing I would say is that it seems like you're mean enough in conversations that like you end up having a meta conversation almost every debate about how you're being mean to the other person. So
I,
it's like 15 minutes of like of just you going on about that.
in my opinion, I don't see why I shouldn't be mean. It's like a lot of
It
it.
seems like it wastes time. Not that I think it's bad. I just
Does,
think it seems like every conversation somebody will call you out on it, and then I have to spend like 10, 15 minutes listening to the two of you talk about whether it's okay if you're mean or not, and then we can get back to
yeah,
whatever thing you were talking
no,
about.
I've got to be honest with you. I'm never gonna have that conversation again. I'm never going to, in a discussion, have this conversation about me interrupting somebody or me being mean to them. That's never happening again after the Ukraine debate. It's going to be. I'm just gonna say suck it the fuck up in like the middle of a discussion. I'm not gonna elaborate on it because I've realized that there's
I
no
think that's
point
a
in
good
arguing
plan.
it. There's no point in arguing it because people will think I like act in bad faith. I'm this fucking debate bro, whatever the fuck. They're gonna think that anyway, no matter what I say. So it's like at that point, what's the fucking point? I think a lot of the time, though, people are more aggressive. People kind of come at me, and a lot of it is very defensive. I've had many conversations with different people. We're not hostile at all. It's the most chilled, laid back conversation about politics ever. Like tomfoolery and I, our debate about Mr. Girl, that is like super casual. Nobody ever got like, no one raised their voice throughout it, and that's because me and Tom, we were like, we had this understanding that neither of us was going to be the person who like escalated that conversation. A lot of the time, if someone gives me a reason to escalate a conversation, I will do so. I think that's the difference between me like looking
Are
for
you kind of
trouble in
matching
conversation.
somebody else's energy, or is it like how righteous you think you are? What's the
Sometimes it's me matching other people's energy. Sometimes I legitimately have gotten mad. I've gotten mad in some conversations. One of them that I did actually this upset me, and it looking back on it, I think I'm totally in the right for being upset about it. The Stardust conversation, part of that upset me. And Stardust admitted after that conversation happened that they went in the conversation with the goal of getting me riled up, which is like
Oh, wait, so are
that's
you? I thought so. You and Stardust are sworn enemies now, right? That's the.
we're no we're not going at each other anymore. It's not worth it for either of us. I think fact of the matter is, the longer the beef goes on, the more ostracized I get from the political community, and the more ostracized she gets from the commentary community. I think that's what that would be what it is. I don't think it's beneficial for either of us to keep going at it. I really don't. Because like if I keep going at it, the political community they call me a racist, and if Stardust keeps going at it, the the
You call
commentary
her
community
racist?
calls her a bitch. So
Wait, are you? Wait, are you racist? Is that?
I am, but like secretly.
You're like, look, you fucking Indian bitch. Like, is that? What did you do?
I said it. So someone said that it would. They wanted to nuke her country at one point, and I said that was based, and that became a bit of drama. I don't want to rehash it because it's just not worth the time. You know
For
what I
sure.
mean?
Well, you have a
So
habit of just saying very outlandish things, I think, for a laugh, and I think it's clearly like,
yes.
yeah, I think even we had the gender conversation, or I moderated that
Hmm?
conversation, and it was like, what did you say? I'm transphobic, and that's base, something like that. You said, yeah,
I don't remember saying that, but I wouldn't doubt that I said it. I wouldn't like say I
exactly.
wouldn't. I
But
didn't.
I don't think you're actually transphobic. I mean, maybe you are, but you know, Like, get these fucking trannies out of my chat, okay? I can't deal with
There's too
this.
many of them.
There's too many
Oh no, but it's like to me it's so weird because I think anyone who knows who I am would look at that clip and say like it wasn't a big deal. But I mean it clearly Stardust views it in a different light. And I can try and like empathize with that, but the fact of the matter is I don't think either of us are getting anywhere. To me, it's like you could even make the argument that I shouldn't have said it. I'm amenable to that argument to an extent,
Yeah.
right? But it's like um
Well, how much do you care about gaining followers? I think
well, I
that's
think the
the
difference is though it's not that I shouldn't have said it. That wasn't what they claimed. They claimed that I was spineless, which I don't. That doesn't follow. But it's like okay, whatever. I'm not
well,
getting
it's
anywhere
like
with that conversation. So I just
that's just the
yeah.
thing. It's like, it's like those those spineless terrorists that crashed a plane into the building. It's like, were they spineless? I mean, it takes a lot of guts. I don't know.
You know, they were really fucking spineless, dude. You know, it was really spineless. The ones who jumped from the towers before they fell. That shit gonna
Yeah,
fuck
you
up
gotta
your
stay,
back.
you gotta
That shit
stay
is
in
gonna
there.
fuck up your back.
That's funny. Yeah,
But
okay.
yeah.
So what are your like? Because I'm trying. I kind of spot you as like a sock dem or like a liberal. You don't seem like a communist. Are you a communist? Wait, no,
No,
you're an anarchist. You're anarcho bunkit. I'm fucking stupid. Wow.
no,
Okay.
that's it's a meme. I'm
Oh,
a, I'm a sock dem with libertarian tendencies. That's it. That's what I am.
it's just the
Um,
selling heroin next to schools. That's the hair. That's the
yeah. I'm a
libertarian
pedophile.
tendency.
I'm a pedophile. Yep. Yeah. I'm a pedophile. That's what I'm trying to get across.
That's
I
well,
think it's a good thing that we can just presume that whenever someone says they're a libertarian that they rape kids. I think that's a morally good thing that we should
when
do.
you say like, well, excuse me, I'm a hemophile or whatever. It is.
Actually, I'm a libertarian. Oh, so you want to fuck a child?
Yeah.
You want to rape a kid?
Oh my God. Okay.
Yes.
So you're basically into like Denmark kind
Um,
of.
I'm about as I could describe myself as a rad lib. I am a liberal, but I'm about as radical as you get with that ideology. Um, I'm not a socialist. My disputes with socialism go pretty hard. They get pretty technical. A lot of it is due to a allocation of labor and the efficiency of which we can allocate labor whenever it
You
is
just hate poor people. That's my thing. I think the working class needs to be oppressed. That's
But why oppress them when you can just kill them?
you know what? No, they gotta build shit for us. I'm not gonna start arguing for slavery. I'm fucking stepping too far.
The libertarian arc continues, but no, it's
Okay,
like yeah.
yeah, give me your basic rundown of why you don't like, or don't. I'm sure why not socialism? I'm here to hear a technical explanation.
So, generally speaking, whenever we have a socialistic system, people need to be trained on how to allocate resources efficiently. They do. Generally, your CEO has to make business decisions that they're going to know how to make. This is called, I believe, localized knowledge in economics. It's a very big thing. The best way I can describe it in like layman's terms, you ever watch like Undercover Boss, right? They have no idea what the fuck they're doing on the ground, but they're able to like run their business as to what they need to be doing. Correct? So whenever we have a system where we have to allow for some form of democracy, you can have one of two different types of systems where you're going to be democratizing, or these are the most common ones that I see. Right? It's either you're going to have people voting on general decisions that your business is going to be making, so you're going to collectively come together and you're collectively going to give a vote as to where like resources should go. Problem with that is that not every single person is going to know how to distribute those resources efficiently, and generally speaking, that's going to be a lot less efficient, and therefore your economy won't be able to withstand outside pressure. Or
Or even scaling
an
in a way too.
alternative is you elect people like representatives. You elect representatives through your worker co-op. But the problem is that all of those representatives, all the potential representatives, they have to be at least knowledgeable to an extent of which, right, they be able to actually as well um they be able to as well allocate resources efficiently, which means you'd have to be training every single person to be able that every single person that you're going to be wanting to have run for higher up positions to be able to allocate those resources efficiently. This is a huge problem whenever you want to have an efficient economy when the very foundations of how you get your resources are extremely inefficient. I think that's the only problem. But if I could be shown on paper that it does work, though, I would be completely fine with flipping my position on that.
Sure.
But I think generally speaking, this would be a true statement. I think I would 100% would stand by it.
Feel about what's like larger co-op companies like Monsanto or whatever else? Do you just think it's like mostly contractors, or do you think that they're not that efficient? Like, how do you respond to
I'd
like
have to
those
go.
arguments?
I'd have to go into each and every single individual's like specific company, which I just generally don't like to do. But whenever we're talking about generally like socialism, we're talking about it in a theory. I believe in theory it seems to be less efficient than capitalism. But I can 100% concede the idea that sometimes under certain conditions it might be more efficient.
Do you think co-ops are socialist?
I think there are a huge part of socialism. The way I define socialism is there's typically two aspects to it. There's oh god fucking damn it. There's decommodification of certain industries. Normally you're going to be focusing on housing. That's a very large one. If you talk to a lot of socialists, that's going to be the place they're going to start. And it's the democratization of the workplace or the seizing the means of production. Right? It's going to be the idea that you are giving the workers power over what they make, the ways they produce things. It's going to be again democratizing the workplace. I think that is a crucial part of it. And if that does not work, then I can't call myself a socialist. If I generally don't believe in that, I don't think I can.
Yeah, I wonder, like, personally, just kind of thinking about that, I wonder if it's like because in,
Mm-hmm.
like co-ops, you're not if you're running a co-op, you're not
Mm-hmm.
beholden to any kind of shareholder or the public. It's basically just the laws and the other employees. So, like, what
Mm-hmm.
incentives do businesses have to not just pay themselves more money or to cut corners or whatever else? It just isn't. There seems to be a lot less consumer. What's it?
Mm-hmm.
What I'm looking for? There's a lot less. Um, Need to appeal to consumers or consumers at large or the
Mm-hmm.
environment or anything else. I guess that's my main issue, well, amongst others. But yeah,
No, I can agree with that. I can agree with that statement. Again though, then we're getting into like, is there incentives to like, for example, expand under a co-op system? How would we incentivize that? We're getting into like such super specific details. My legitimate opinion on it is this though. And this is why I work with so many different socialists around me. My co-host is a socialist. Okay, generally speaking, I think this is the argument. This argument is like so far down the road. We're not even like close to crossing that bridge yet. Okay, we can have that argument whenever we have like at least the very bare bones of like a social democracy where you might be able to transition certain industries into
yeah.
socialism. Then we can
The
have
same thing
that
for the next
argument.
200
Then we
years,
can have
basically.
that argument. I'll have that argument when we get there. I've debated this with my co-host Prague. Generally, I haven't gotten like the answer that I'd be looking for if I were to want to become a socialist. Right? I ask questions I don't get answers to that would actually convince me of the position. But again, this is like an argument that we can have later down the line. Generally, the only times that I debate economics are against like people who are much farther, let's say, down the line. Either people who argue for planned economies or people who like libertarians, right? Those are some times where I might argue economics a little bit harder. And then also economics comes up. It's not my strong suit by any means, but I know enough about it so I can argue it. I think in a high degree.
Yeah, it seems to me like every time I talk to a socialist, like seriously, it's always like, okay, yeah, we can do socialism, but we have to like house the homeless first,
Mm-hmm.
and we have to like do healthcare. And it's like we're going to be voting for the same things for the next 200 years. There's no way socialism's not going to happen. So let's just get along. And usually that goes over pretty well.
No, but like generally speaking, I agree with these people on like 92% of things. Okay, we're almost completely in agreement as far as it was like what we're going to be implementing next, right? But then the problem comes is like people divide themselves. They divide themselves so hard over like the very minutia of a system between it being like democratic socialism and social democracy, and they want to have this argument before we go anywhere actually politically. It's so weird to me. It just seems like a waste of words at this point for me to even argue with these people. We don't, in my opinion, we don't have enough data like to make a whole conclusion on it. We're arguing theory. We're arguing economic theory at that point. I believe that Sock Done Left has done at least a little bit of research. I think that if you're going to look for somebody who's going to be arguing in socialism with data, I think you'd look to someone like him. But
He's good, yeah.
even so, it's like, well, this argument's so far down the line that like, why would I want to discuss it, right? I have so many debates that I can have in a day. Right? I have so much time I could be talking about different issues. I don't find value in trying to iron out slight economic differences with fellow left wingers whenever we're
It just
talking
feels like a
about these
hobby at
things.
that point, right? Which
Yeah,
is fine,
no,
but
it's like
a
why.
hobby that makes people very angry.
It's a hobby which causes like fighting.
Which I guess is basically gaming, right? It's the same thing, really.
I don't play as many multiplayer games anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
I can't play Overwatch and call people slurs, and that really takes away from the experience. So I don't do it.
Would you say that you actually hate the mentally challenged?
I wake up and I look at one every single day, and it's like, damn, if that won't make you ableist, I don't know what will.
Wait, is that true? Do you have, like, a disabled, like, sibling or something? Or
No,
a
I have autism and ADHD.
Oh, okay, okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm a high functioning autist, so I thought I remember there's a clip out there of me. I think this is just really funny. There's another YouTuber, Bo Blacks. All right, he reads tweets. He's a drama YouTuber. He's got like an entire channel. He's also high functioning autistic. I just called him an autistic retard on stream. Stream, I called him an autistic retard. I thought it was the funniest shit ever.
So what would you say your strong subjects are? Like, if you're not, 'cause you seem like you're pretty knowledgeable, like, about econ, at least on enough to debate it. What do you really shine on?
Moral philosophy and social issues are the things that I'm the best at. I think
Philosophy, okay.
I'm a philosophy guy. I do a lot of philosophy. A lot of the arguments that I'm getting into, I know how to navigate them, and most of the time I'm going to be using arguments that are going to stem at least from a philosophical framework. I think it's really important. I think see a lot of people skip this whenever they're getting into
Reading
politics.
is hard though, okay? It's fucking philosophy books, they're the worst.
Yeah, no, but I see a lot of people skip this, and it's really important to me, and it's really sad that people do. People they'll start at the top, they'll start at having their like their policy decision that they want implemented, but they don't know all the foundation work that you have to build before you get to that, and you're able to argue for that, right? So somebody could like question you as to why for a very long time, and you wouldn't be able to justify it all the way down to its root. I think it's really important, at least for me. I've kind of built this philosophical foundation, and I've gotten to my policy positions through that. I think that's really important. I think that if people don't have that done, they probably should, because it's you. If you are going to get people who are going to play the why game with you until you fucking die, okay? I've had
People get
people.
trapped too,
I
because there's like, it's true, you've seen there's definitely arguments that people have. It's like, okay, well, I think incest is gross. It's like, okay, but is it immoral and why? And it's like people will get stuck because they don't really have an actual framework to why they think
Yeah.
what they do. Yeah.
Well, no, but that happens a lot. But like, it's more than just that, right? Like I've had like debates with people like a Cheeto, and it's literally about trans shit, and then I have to get all the way down to like meta ethics as to like why we use words in general. Like that's what we have to do whenever I have these discussions with people. So if I wasn't able to do that, I don't know how you like would go in and argue these positions. But I see so many different people, like either on political Twitter who come into my live streams who just have no idea what they're talking about when it comes to that subject, and it shows so much whenever you question them on their positions. It's bizarre.
Yeah, no, it's the trans thing. It's on the main argument I hear that's pro things like xenogender and stuff is not whatever you want to say about the subject in general. It's basically just like be nice to people. That's the argument. I'm like, that's not going to hold up. You need something more than that, than
Hmm.
just hey, be friendly.
Well, I think a lot of the times I get, in my opinion, the xenogender argument is not really something that's super important. Even if I were to say that xenogenders are objectively bad, which I don't hold this opinion, but even if I were to say that, it's like, well, I wouldn't spend my time talking about it. I wouldn't. It just doesn't seem
An
like an important
online
part.
conversation. That's the
Yeah, no, but like I've kind of engaged in the topic because I see so much like shit philosophy surrounding it. I do. Um like the entire panel, I felt like I was arguing with people who were like just like watched a Destiny video and they were just trying to assert talking points from it. Like that's what it legitimately felt like. I felt like I didn't know why any of these people didn't know why they were saying these things to me. I was just hearing it back. You know what I mean? It's like
okay. So they think they were just spewing out. They just Googled Destiny talks transgender and just watched that
It's what
before.
it no, what it feels like. I feel like I can always tell whenever somebody's like actually like formed their opinion on their own, or they've been like passed it down from like a content creator that they like, because like they won't be able to answer like questions whenever you actually push them on the subject. They'll have like no idea how to respond to it, right? So like I would propose like multiple like that. I proposed a bunch of different hypotheticals to people on that panel. I almost got like no answers from any of them on it. It was so weird. It's like why would you stick your head first into like such a loaded subject as far as it comes to like.
I think if you're gonna fucking like, if you
Mhm,
can't, if somebody says they're not gonna entertain a hypothetical, I think they're stupid, like automatically. Maybe that's like
mhm.
bad, but that's yeah. I'm like, they're like you like that doesn't make sense. It's not the same thing. I'm like, just fucking. That's not
But
the
yeah,
point.
no,
Go
the
with
thing
it.
is, it's really easy to answer a hypothetical that has nothing to do with the argument. It's super easy, in fact. If it has no bearing on the argument, answering an intuition pump is the easiest thing in the planet. You literally just say what you think, and
Oh yeah.
that's it. If somebody, I have people who like try and dodge questions with it. I know Michael Knowles did this in our debate, and it was really cringe.
Michael
Um,
Knowles, the wait, you made debated. When did you debate Michael Knowles? What the
yeah,
fuck?
I debated Michael Knowles a few months ago or
Oh,
so.
is that on your channel?
Yeah, it is.
Oh,
but he did this to
wow.
me. It was like, well, that hypothetical isn't relevant to the discussion, so I'm not going to answer it. And I'm like,
Did you
well,
call him a retard?
if it, no, I didn't. I was respectful for this conversation. But like, if the hypothetical doesn't have anything to do with the conversation, it's really easy to answer it. If it has no implications for the rest of the conversation you're going to be having, it's really easy to answer a hypothetical. Um, but so whenever somebody starts trying to dodge hypotheticals, to me it just screams bad faith. I will legitimately, I'll make that stance. I think that anybody who refuses to engage with hypotheticals that they're presented during a moral argument is probably working in bad faith.
I'll say is that some people, I don't know if you do this, but people will make hypotheticals that are like the most absurdly offensive possible thing. It's like, imagine you have a rape machine and it rapes a baby every 10
Listen,
seconds. And like, it's like, okay, what?
let's say there's a rape machine and it rapes a baby every 10 seconds, but you can turn off the rape machine by raping a baby. Is it morally better to rape the baby?
Right. Yeah.
Do you want to rape
That's
the
a,
baby?
yeah. People do that. And I understand not wanting to engage with that. It's like, what? Hold
Well,
on.
I mean, but a lot of these people aren't even like streamers. They have nothing to lose from engaging in these hypotheticals, okay? You could literally say, yeah, I want to rape a baby on the internet, and no one would care because these people have like 30 Twitter followers, okay? Like, what are you defending? Like, I get like maybe if I propose like a hypothetical like that to like Vosh, right? Maybe then you don't want to answer it because you know you have a bunch of people ready to clip you at a moment's notice, right?
It's
But
fucking hilarious. Just speaking of.
but like, come on, you're nobody. Who cares if you say you want to rape a baby?
You're fine. You know, people, I've seen people with like 30 followers be like, I hope I don't get canceled for this tweet. I'm like, canceled? No one fucking cares about you. What are you talking about?
I sure hope I don't get canceled for my tweet.
My baby raping.
My tweet about baby raping. Oh no. Oh my
Do you think Michael
god.
Knowles is a fascist?
Is I have no idea what that guy's viewpoints are. I legitimately don't.
Okay.
I had a conversation with him. I still couldn't understand the guy. He's such a weird perspective on the world. He really does.
He's ultra Catholic and like a bit of a, I don't know if it's tongue in cheek, but I think he wants a theocracy is what he wants.
Mm, I have no idea. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know that much about Michael Knowles. I just debated him once. I just know he's one of Ben Shapiro's boys, and some people really like him. And that's funny to me. I have a bunch of
Awesome.
people.
I think he's cute. I'm not gonna lie.
I
No? You don't think he's,
someone
you
please
don't think he's
clip
cute?
that. I want that clipped and put on Twitter. But
Cutie Michael Knowles.
would you fuck Michael Knowles?
Michael, call me. Come on.
But he's like, isn't he like 40? Isn't he like actually 40? Hold
Almost
up.
30. It works out. It's fine.
All right. I forgot you're both like ashes already. But nah, what was it? Like, I didn't know that much about Michael Knowles. Someone just came in my chat and said, "Yo, Michael Knowles is holding like this thing," and I was like, "That's one of like like the Daily Wire guys, right?" And I was like, "Cool, I'll
Yeah.
jump into that." I'd like to take a crack at some people who are some of the other people at the Daily Wire. To be honest with you, I've kind of spent a lot of time thinking about the arguments they present because obviously, I talk with like random conservatives on the internet all the time. I hear their talking points.
You fantasize about debating Ben Shapiro
That
in a
makes it sound
college
sexual. Unlike you, I don't have an attraction to the Daily Wirecast.
because you're anti-Semitic. That's why.
You expect denial? Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So okay, so yeah, tell me about
Okay, you can't call me an anti-Semite when I say I am. You can't just sit there. Now I feel like an actual anti-Semite. I feel like I just gotten back from the Charlottesville rally. Okay, like you.
Yeah, yeah. It's like there's only so many USAs you can shout before people start to question you. You know.
You can only say Hitler's a good a couple times before people start thinking you mean it.
But yeah, no. Okay, so tell me about not your fantasies. Sorry, tell me about your debate dreams. I don't know. What are you like?
Hypothetical comfort. Ah! Fuck me. Oh my god. I just fucking squealed. I'm sorry, my voice is fucked today. I'm not gonna be able to
Are
repair
you
it.
feeling okay?
No, actually I'm sick, but that's beside the
I'm
point.
sorry. Sorry to hear that. Anyway, but anyway, go ahead. Tell me about your hypothetical fantasies, debates. You know.
Right. Yeah. No, like hypothetical like obviously I plan out conversations but they happen. Like I like think about debates and talking points that I hear and I obviously
Really
can
watched other debates like Ben Shapiro has done and like have formulated what I would have said as a response that would have been better than whatever the other person said.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do that. I don't know if
No,
that's something.
exactly. But things like there was a Ben Shapiro. I forgot. It was a question Michael Knowles asked me. It was something like, if somebody's unconscious, do we kill them? Do they not have moral value?
Are you
And
playing
obviously,
Elden
fuck me. Anyways, I pulled up a video on stream. Don't worry about that. But anyways, I to me, right. Uh, all these talking points are just super surface level. If you know how to rebut them, they don't have a good follow up. They really don't. That's why Michael Knowles dropped the hypothetical with me after I had a good answer to it, and then we never heard of it again throughout the discussion. It's really just a talking point. It's very surface level.
It's a
And
very
I've
boring
had.
conversation that way too, because you're just going down somebody's dialogue tree that you know that they're doing. Like you
Mhm.
basically, I've been in conversations where I'll say like the response to the sixth thing they're gonna say because I know that's what we're getting to anyway. It's like, well, hold on, let me finish it. I'm like, I know what you're fucking gonna say. I don't. We don't
I've
need to
I've
do
had
this.
this conversation 12 times before. You're not going to be anything new, right? I've had every single. I feel like at times this happens to me all the time. I feel like I've had every conversation I'm going to have on the internet at times. I will literally I talk with new people all the time, and it feels like I've already had the discussion. It's already happened. I can like relate it back to like something that I've already like I know the answers to every single question they're going to ask me before they even ask it. It's really it can get boring at times. Thankfully, I try and mix it up with as many new people as possible, but it's hard to find like a bunch of new fucking chuds to debate every couple weeks or so.
You
It
ever
really
talk to
is.
somebody like a conservative or a Republican that you found to actually be intelligent?
Um, I don't know if intelligent would be the right word. There are a few people who definitely give me a harder time in a debate than others. People like Akumu. Akumu was a really I don't think he knows he doesn't know the philosophy behind his positions, but he knows how to drag on a debate. And he knows how to appeal to like intuition very, very well. So he knows how to spit out a lot of bad things, and it's going to take me a while to rebut all of it. And
Okay.
like that's for example a debate that guy's I think he's going to be hard to topple if you know what you're doing or if you don't know what you're doing is what I'd say.
Okay.
I don't know if there's like
Umo,
a lot of
Kamo, who is this?
I don't Akumu is he's a smaller debate bro on the
Okay.
internet, but like that for example, or I've had other discussions with people who I don't know if they're most of the people the right wingers that I find are intelligent. I don't even think they're right wingers. I think they just like don't know where they align politically. They just tell you that they're a right winger.
Right.
um
Like, who
yeah.
is it? Like counterpoints is, I guess, a right winger, but
Mhm.
is pretty liberal. Yeah.
I know, like sometimes I've had discussions with people like Tommy C. Tommy C is actually I think he's a fairly intelligent guy, but it's like they're very few far between discussions, and I don't even know if I can remember them off the top of my head to be honest with you.
See anything in a debate, or do you not do that? Are you always the winner?
Hmm?
Have you ever lost a debate before? So I'm asking.
Depends on who you ask. I don't really.
Well, did you feel like you've ever lost, like personally, where you're like, hey, actually, I thought about it, and that guy was right, you know?
Oh, that guy was right.
Yeah.
I look back on the Mr. Girl debate I had with Tom Foolery, and I think that he was probably more on the right in that discussion than I was looking back on it.
Okay. Which I
I
thought
don't
you and
think
Mr. Girl were friends, or
Oh,
not
this was
friends,
this
but
was before though. This is before that happened. But
okay.
no, like I look back on that, I'm like, yeah, maybe I was a little uncharitable to Mr. Girl, right? But I don't think I lost that debate. I think if you watch that debate, I think you'd probably have the same takeaway. That at the very least, I held my own in that. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
I have like performances I'll look back on. I'll be like, ooh, I don't know about that point anymore. Um, and a lot of the time, it's not. I don't change my like stance through a discussion. I'll have a discussion, and then I'll argue with myself about it later, and I'll see like what new points I can come up against whatever I was just presented in that conversation that I had. Right. So oftentimes, I'm not changing it like on the spot. It's really something I'm going to argue with myself over later on after the discussion's over, and then I might like change an opinion or position. A thing is though, all the discussions where I think would be like really hard, like I really hard change my mind on them. I feel like I've had those before already, and
yeah.
at this point, I've been talking on the internet so long. I don't know how much is like I don't know if I'm gonna get blindsided by something anytime soon.
What kind of prep do you do? Or do you just have all the topics memorized at this point?
So what I do is I know it's on my actual contact email. I might make these public someday. I have research documents for every single topic that I intend to discuss, and I'll do like 6 hours of research into every single topic that I plan on debating on a stream. A lot of it's winged off the top of my head because I'm pretty good at memorizing statistics, and also I've had these conversations so much that again it feels like I'm just I'm reciting things I've already said. You get really good at reciting points whenever you've said them like 12 times before. So a lot of it is done off the bat. Sometimes before a discussion, I'll like hop into a VC with somebody, like on a random politics server, and I'll run that, right? And I'll see what kind of discussions I can get out of people there. But it's
Yeah.
not going to typically be. I don't do like really hard research for each individual debate. I think I should, but I just don't have enough time to do so. So I do more so into like the topics themselves. Yeah.
I gotcha. Yeah, is it frustrating? Because I noticed, like, when you did the when you were on for the gender panel, like, you're the only one who did any research, and it showed. Like, you
Mm-hmm.
were like, what did you bring up to like the American Psychological Association, like something
Yeah.
really basic, and like nobody knew what the fuck you were talking about. It's like no, that's like the first thing you would Google, right? Like,
No,
did you just not come to
literally,
this?
no, literally, you Google definition of gender. That's the first thing you're gonna find. It is literally the first thing you will find is the American Psychological Association's definition of gender. And it was like, I have these discussions with these people all the time, and I gotta say, maybe it would piss me off more if it didn't happen all the time. It really would, because there are very few things that get to me on the internet. And most of them are pet peeves, and I'll like think about that. And I'm gonna be like, that's annoying, right? It's something that like slightly gets under your skin. It doesn't like rack me very hard, but it's like, why do you do that? And one of those things is when people enter into discussions they're clearly not prepared for, and then like try and act like they have a definitive like stance on it, and they're gonna like they really understand it more than anybody else does. That pisses me off a lot. I've had so many discussions with people where they try and like step on different like places and they're just wrong, and I call them out for just being completely fucking wrong on the topic. One thing that a lot of people don't realize about debate, a lot of it is never extending like your claims past what you absolutely know. And so many people will do that fucking constantly in discussions that it's like, why are you even here? Why do you want to discuss
Like,
this?
pontificate like a wax poetically about whatever topic. Yeah, okay, yeah.
No, but like you could contemplate about a topic, but just be like honest when you don't know like what you're talking about. You know what I mean? That's like my perspective on it. But like, there's so many people who just won't. They'll just come into a discussion completely unprepared and act like they have any idea what they're talking about. And it's so annoying because I know when you're bullshitting me. I really do because I did the same. I did the prep work before the discussion happened. I talk about, for example, I talk about gender all the time. It's one of my most popular subjects that I talk about because like, I think it's something I can argue very effectively. Trans rights. I don't do xenogenders as much. That's actually the only xenogender debate I have on my channel.
Conversation, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I
What's
just
funny is that that whole debate was about like the other side of that debate is that you are a big part of it is that you shouldn't make up definitions of words, but they didn't have a definition of gender. They didn't have that definition, so they were
mhm.
ironically making shit up, which is what they were fighting against. But it's very strange.
Yeah, no, but the thing is, a lot of the xenogender debate, I think it revolves around your understanding of a language. And to me, a language is nothing more than something to communicate a preference to somebody. Whenever language communicates something, it is valued therein. It doesn't have to be like universally, for example, the word debate might have like different connotations to different people. But as long as we can use the word, I can give some kind of idea of what I'm talking about to somebody. There's value in the use of that term. I feel like that kind of works with xenogenders as well. And then I have these conversations with people, and we don't even know agree.
Fine. I just think
We
I
don't
feel
even
like if
agree
I'm
with
talking
what
to cis
gender
people, I'm never going to
is.
advocate for xenogenders.
Yeah, maybe. I think the only times I might have the discussion is like if I'm talking to somebody, they're like, "What about like attack helicopters?" I said, "If you, I'll be like, if you want to talk about attack helicopters, we can talk about that. Like, I guess we can, but it's like
Yeah,
you're so like off the subject at that point, right? It's like, okay, I
that's fair.
generally am okay with people letting people lead me around in conversations. I'm pretty confident in the idea that I will be able to argue on different points of a topic. Um, but it's like it distracts from the point. So I don't know. Maybe I should stop doing it.
I feel like I have a really hard time. Like if somebody like derails me, I have like I'll start arguing about something else because I say a lot of crazy shit online. Not crazy, but you know, I'm sure you've seen my Twitter a few times, and it's like then it's like so they'll argue. We'll be arguing about like something entirely different, and they'll be like, okay, what about didn't you say if like didn't you defend the Iraq War? And they were talking about the Iraq War for an hour, and we're supposed to be talking about fucking gender, and it's like I let people derail me, and I try not to. How do
Hmm.
you how are you at that?
The thing is, if people, there's no claim I think I've made on the internet that I can't at least somewhat defend. I don't think that's
Well, it's
true.
fair, but like, will people throw you off the topic that you, or do you just go with them to whatever topic they want to talk about?
Um, I think I call it out. I'll just be like, this has literally nothing to do with what we're talking about. But I mean, if you want to talk, I guess we can. We can have that discussion. But it's like I'm not gonna like. I'll talk about whatever. To be honest, for me, it's not something I'm going to. Yeah. Normally, people are jumping topics whenever they've already like conceded. They basically have to concede their first one, and it doesn't look good
So
to an
they're
audience
getting into
either.
something else. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't look good to an audience either. So like, what's the point? I'll let them jump around. Like, I'm not gonna suffer for it. They look like a dumbass whenever they're jumping around a conversation. They have no idea what points they're trying to argue. A lot of actually what debate is, it's coming off to an audience as somebody who is at the very least logical, who has a coherent point. And if
Sure.
they're going to be jumping around topics, I tend to let them do it because it makes them seem like a spastic.
That's good. Are you a? You mentioned him earlier. Are you a DGGer?
Um, I used to be back in like 2017, 2018, 2019-ish. Um, I don't really watch Destiny that much anymore. I don't watch any political streamers really. It's just not my thing. Um, I think the closest political streamer I say I actually watch is like Xander Hall because I think that guy's like he's an enjoyable dude. Um, like I'm just not that into like watching other people's political content. Partly because I don't want it to influence mine, but then like also because
Yeah.
it's boring. It's just really boring for me to watch somebody talk
When
about.
people just sound like Destiny, which happens quite a bit,
I mean, people say I sound like Destiny, so I don't know.
That's just because you talk fast and you're gay.
And I'm
That's not.
gay, yeah?
That's
We're just whipping out the homophobia too. Oh my. Well, there's two problems. You see, you talk fast and you're gay.
well, it's like you don't. Other than that, you don't sound like Destiny. I think it's just because you're I don't know. Anyone who's like slightly aggressive online is compared to Destiny now. So that's yeah.
Well, I mean, in my opinion, Destiny is literally just a product of like being someone who plays video games, who plays like competitive video games where shit talking
Well,
is like a
especially during that era,
large
yeah, for
thing.
sure.
Yeah, no, if you are on the internet, you know a lot of people who are like Destiny. If you are in the spaces, like you know these people exist. And I think that like there's no way you can just look at everybody shoot shit talks and be like, yeah, that's a Destiny thing. No, that's a gamer thing, okay? It's just as gamers all the times he dropped the N-word on the stream.
What's funny is that he like will accuse people of stealing from his. And I think one time somebody said the words "okay, buddy," and he's like, "You stole that from me." I'm like, you know what? You didn't steal "okay, buddy." "Okay, buddy" is not yours.
Bro, someone told me I said because I said buddy, I'm like Destiny, and I'm like I've been saying that for like 3 years. I didn't know Destiny invented that.
Destiny invented friendship, don't you know? That's it.
Destiny invented language. You know, debate wouldn't exist without Destiny. Fun fact, okay?
Yeah, it's before Socrates there was DGG,
There was DGG, and they paved a road for philosophy as a whole. No, but one thing that really is weird is even Destiny, like even DGG doesn't compare me to Destiny. They say I'm more like Xander Hall than Destiny. In their words, a more intelligent and edgier Xander Hall.
I don't want to put Xander Hall down, but he's never struck me as he seems really nice.
Xander Hall is the nicest person in this space, like next to Cherry. That like entire community is exceedingly nice to everybody. They're amazing, right? But like it's it's really funny because the only people who compare me to Destiny are the people who like don't actually watch Destiny.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
They do it. They always hate Destiny. I'm like that's.
You'll never be as good as their king, okay? You can't.
I remember that reminds me. Somebody in my server at one point said you'll never be as successful as Stephen Bennell the second. It was really funny. They referred to him as
Unfortunately, probably true. I mean, he's doing
Stephen
pretty well for himself.
Bennell the second. Do you know DGG refers to Destiny as Steven sometimes, and it's the weirdest thing to me. It's
Steven.
no, you don't call them by their first name though. That's weird. You're not like
Mr.
fucking them.
Bennell.
That's weirder. Imagine someone calls it a Destiny stream and say, "Hi, Mr. Bennell, how are you doing today?"
I think I might do that. Yeah, that sounds fun.
Gross. You're disgusting.
So you're a philosophy, I guess. Are you majoring in philosophy, or are you just a kind of a nerd about it?
I'm kind of a nerd about it. I know enough about it to keep up conversations with people who have majored in philosophy. Um, I'm not
The
completely lost.
ethics,
There's a
right?
lot of people.
Ethics, meta ethics.
Yeah, I do meta ethics. I think a lot of meta ethics, in my opinion, oh God, metaethical arguments get really confusing. Arguments for moral realism, moral anti-realism. I have basically, I know my arguments against moral realism, but dear Lord, are they a slog on stream? And the problem is I can't have them on stream because only like the like actual philosophy majors in my audience will know what the fuck I'm talking about because that's how complicated like some of this shit gets, right? You're going to be jumping between like the ideas of like hypothetical normative reasons and categorical normative reasons, and whether we can accept a categorical normative reason as something that is true. Does this follow logically that there are categorical normative reasons? Because if not, then why would we believe anything? There's no reason to believe in other stance. Like, and then we get into like such complex. We're literally talking about like deep epistemology, and it's like no one in my stream is gonna know what I'm talking about. So like, why would I have the conversation there?
I feel like a lot of philosophy like conversations just end up in like like stupid like discussions about whether reality is real. And then like it's like it's like how did we get from here to like is it okay to like fuck dogs? How do we go from there to all the way to like
Is it
what is
okay
the
to
nature
fuck
of the
dog?
universe?
Like that's the first place your mind goes, buddy.
Well, yeah, I
That a
definitely
question
had
you
that
give a lot of
conversation.
thought?
Actually, yes, I've thought a lot about the ethics of zoophilia.
You
I have a
thought
whole,
no, I want you to say I thought a lot about fucking dogs because that's what you wanted to
and I've thought a
say.
lot about it. Okay,
That's what you wanted to say, buddy. What you wanted to say, yeah.
you're trying to get a clip out of me, and I'll accept it. Okay.
Everything I say is incredibly clippable, okay? If somebody wanted to, they could paint me out as like a pedophile racist and they wouldn't be wrong. But that's, yeah, dude. There's some very yikes clips of me out there on the internet. They really are. Um, I feel like
People go after you in that way.
the problem is you can't really woke scold me because I'll just say like if someone accuses me of being like someone accused me of being racist on Twitter like a couple months ago, like they were really hard against me. I just said, yeah, I am. And like, what do you say to that?
What do you do to it? Yeah, it's like, oh shit, okay,
You're racist? Yeah. I'm glad you noticed. I put a lot of effort into it.
So are you? So okay. So moral wise, just I'm not. I don't want to get into it, but like, would you say you're an anti-realist,
I'm a moral anti-realist.
like a JL Mackey kind of guy?
I'm not good with name drop philosophers.
What's the fucking I'm trying to remember
I'm a descriptive egoist. That's where most of my meta ethics come from, and then I can basically skip the meta ethics topic almost in its entirety because the fact of the matter is, if I can establish I can argue in favor of descriptive egoism, and then the idea of like realism in general ceases to be a factor in your argument because the fact of the matter is you experience your own direct preferences yourself, regardless of whether these are real or not. Doesn't matter. You still value them regardless. So what's the point of the debate whether it's real or not?
what if somebody says to you, God is real and he will smite you, and therefore you should be interested in not doing whatever shit you're doing?
Like like is that a threat?
Well, it's hypothetically. Let's say somebody's like,
Like
"Hey, look,
hypothetically,
God
like
will smite you." So in a debate, somebody says, "God will smite you if you don't quit. You're sinning." How do you go into like the God debate, or do you like dismiss it? Like, how would you handle something like that?
oh, the God debate? Dude, that shit's fucking dumb. I know a lot of different arguments for religious topics. I've completely almost moved on from it. I could debate religion all day. Fact of the matter is, if I've sucked one too many dicks, and that was God's breaking point, the last one, that was it, and he's gonna smite me for it. I guess, buddy.
Okay, so then you're.
I mean,
So how would you describe what is this? Okay, just for what is how would you describe descriptive egoism? What is that?
descriptive egoism is the idea of which we follow by what is our own self-interest, our own preferences. This describes human interaction, human value, and is descriptively a true claim.
There's no way around. Unlike normative egoism, which is that you should try to be as egotistical as possible.
Yeah, no, it just says that you are. That's the statement. Even if you're not conscious of it, you are.
Do you believe that altruism is possible?
Not in my system, no. I
Yeah,
wrote
okay.
I wrote an entire little essay when I was in like freshman year of high school before I even like knew what egoism was about how altruism didn't exist, and it was basically that argument. I still will use that to this day, but it's just really gay, and I feel like a nerd forever writing that. It was like a manifesto. If someone found that, they would have thought like there was gonna be a shooting.
I feel like it's one of those things you can't really prove in any way, you know?
Well, I
Like,
mean, but we can deduce it, right? So if we deduce the idea that you will not act as something outside of your own self-interest, and um, the idea of altruism is that you're acting outside of your own self-interest, but there's no situation where you would act outside of your own self-interest. Therefore, altruism can't be a thing, right?
yeah, I mean, that's what I would say, but you could also, I mean, I haven't thought about this in so fucking long, but like, they're definitely, when I've looked at the arguments for and against it, it just seems like kind of a wash in some ways. Like, I think you can, or somebody smarter than me could argue effectively the other way as well, I think.
I mean, the only argument that you could have is that there's a first order thought and there's a second order thought. Your first order thought would be your natural instinct, what you want right now, and second order thought would be where altruism might come into handy, where you think about another self-interest. But I see no purpose in distinguishing between these two. And you could just deny it outright, and then like, well, you think that and I think this, and now we're at a moral impasse, and there's no real way to argue past it.
It's like one of the major arguments for moral realism is that like something can be in your, can be, there's a difference between desire and interest, and because something is in your best interest, even though you don't desire it. Therefore, that is an object, and therefore moral realism. I fucked that up so badly, but that's one of the. That's yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's like one of the big arguments for why we like why people believe in moral realism.
Um,
Like
the argument I hear the
there for a
most
future
is
self.
about argument I hear the most is about that logic in itself implies a moral, realistic standpoint. That's something
Does
we
that work?
ought.
I haven't heard that one.
So the argument goes as far, and I might butcher it right now. The argument goes as follows essentially. We have beliefs. This is true because I believe that I have a belief, and that's enough to prove that. To say otherwise would also be a contradiction. You can't even do that. So we have beliefs. There are things that we ought to believe, and because there are things that we ought to believe, there are categorical normative reasons, which means there's things that I should believe regardless of my desires, right? So, for example, if there's a pile of dinosaur bones, I ought to believe that there was a dinosaur there at one point. That is logically what follows, and I should believe that. If I
Okay.
do not believe that there are things that I ought to believe, then there's no reason to believe an anti-realist standpoint, so that can't be true. Then from that, because I ought to believe things, I ought to believe things about morality, and therefore, because I ought to believe something about morality, there must be a truth to morality, and therefore more
Is
realism
this
exists.
deontology basically?
No, this is
'Cause it
this
sounds somewhat similar.
no, it's more so it's a general argument for moral realism. I
Okay, okay.
hold up, let's moral. I think hold on, let me try and find a paper about this argument.
Yeah, shoot me a paper. I'm not going to read it right now, but if you shoot me a paper, I'll
Or
read it.
moral error theory. Richard something is where I saw the name on it. Or something like that.
J.L. Mackey is moral error theory. So we're talking about
No, it's a
moral.
rebuttal to moral error theory, though.
A rebuttal to moral. Okay, so is it
That's
Richard
what this
Spencer?
is, and it argues in favor of moral realism. I don't know. I'd have to find, like, I cannot find it off the top of my head. Yeah.
It's not Richard
So,
B. Spencer. Okay.
you know what's up, tipster? Anyways, no, but like, some of again, like that's an argument that we are getting like so deep into like meta. I have my rebuttals to that. In my opinion, it's a non sequitur between the second premise and the third premise. I don't think those follow, but no one wants to watch me talk about what morals are at the end of the day because it doesn't matter. No
Like
one,
5 viewers.
normal people wouldn't care about that. You know what I mean?
I mean, there's a fucking dude. There's a few people who try to do like deep philosophy videos. I mean, they have like a 500 views, but you could do that. You know.
Oh yeah, no, I do have my favorite like deep philosophy YouTubers. One of them, Kane B, has been a huge help in learning shit about philosophy. He's insanely well spoken. Um, he pulls pretty good views for himself, being of how in depth he gets into like the subject. But like I'm a streamer. Most people don't come to my stream and they want to hear me talk for like a long time about very complex philosophy because they're gonna feel like they skipped like 30 chapters before we even got onto this subject. So
Sure.
why would I talk about it? And then like furthermore, it doesn't matter to me. Even if so this is an argument, okay? You want to really fuck up with a realist, okay? You just say, okay, moral realism is true, but why should I care? And then that's gonna be a fun argument, okay? You have them trying to prove to you why you should care about morals, and oh god, it's quite the dispute. Really, again, though, I find no use in arguing about it. I really don't. It's just it's an overly complex topic for an audience.
Do you think somebody should have to, in order to act morally in the world, by their own definition, do you think that somebody has to have a meta-ethical framework to even get to ethics at all?
Yes, I do, but
Okay.
I don't know if you have to argue that framework. So, for example, I think that you have to believe things before you start making claims about things. But you don't have to argue those beliefs. You probably should, but you don't have to. I think that a lot of the time, the problem is going to be is that people don't even like they won't even be able to understand what is a good and a bad meta-ethical argument because we are that far removed from reality. We are talking completely in the abstract at that point. It's completely like disconnected from reality. You Most people aren't going to be able to look at that and like assess it as an actual argument of whether they should believe something or not. And at that point, right? Well, it's not going to serve them much use to look into it, right? I think we run into that issue a lot when we talk about like God, for example. I don't even know I can listen to some of the best philosophers, the best theologists, okay, talk about their belief or disbelief in a God. They are so far beyond my understanding of the field that I don't even know how to assess it. You know what I mean? So like, why
Right.
would I? Why would I debate that? That's my perspective on it. But yeah.
Do you think that you can have an intuitive moral system? Because there seems to be some people that argue that morals are basically just a way that you feel, and it's like nothing. It's like a preference essentially. Do you think there's any merit to that?
Um. Well, I mean, I'm a descriptive egoist, so that's basically all of it. But a lot of the time, people will say intuition tracks morals, especially if they're arguing from an objective moral standpoint, and they'll throw things like intuition pumps at you, which are like hypotheticals. Like the trolley problem is a really good example of it, right? It's an intuition pump, see where you lead with that. Um, and to be honest with you, intuition seems to track with our intuition. But I genuinely don't think that intuition alone is what's going to be justifying any moral system. So.
Okay. And do you think there's a difference between moral anti-realism and moral subjectivity?
Um,
That's such a
moral
we that's such a
moral subjectivity is a form of moral anti-realism, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I think it's technically I like is it different? I'm not sure. Yeah. What I've read like from Moreland, they will go on for a few pages about like how it's different than just moral subjectivity. There's a difference between like emotivism and like error theory. Like those are two different things. And one's moral subjectivity and the other one's like is anti-realism.
No, but like error theory is a form of moral anti-realism as well. So,
Right. That's anti-realism, but then something like Sartre's emotivism would be like moral subjectivity, and those are different. I'm not sure. Actually, this is not a fun conversation. I'm sorry.
no, I don't care. I mean, we can have this conversation all day. I talk about more boring things concerning philosophy.
What's your favorite topic to talk about?
My favorite topic to talk about is
Yeah.
probably gender or moral philosophy. I mean like normative ethics, not meta ethics. I love talking about normative ethical systems and I love testing them because there's so many times that people will just not be able to justify their ethical systems at all. So like for example, things like the Rittenhouse case really interested me as a debate topic. I think it really it piqued my interest, right? I got to test a lot of different people's moral systems, see whether it was consistent or not. I think it makes for a great debate and a great piece of content if I'm going to be doing that. And then
What's your
like
take on Rittenhouse? Just out of curiosity.
I think that he acted as in the right as you could expect him to. I think he was stupid for going there though. I wouldn't have advised that. But
Yeah, okay, I agree
he
with
was
that.
there already. His life was threatened. You should be able to defend your property was a very strong stance that I have. I don't know how a system works without the ability to defend property.
Yeah, no, yeah, that definitely works. Yeah. What do you think? Do you have any like especially contentious takes on ethics?
On ethics.
Sure. Is there like an ethical stance that you have that you like that people have been pissed off about or that you've
Um,
gotten shit about?
incest, the pedophilia one. Are there any other big ones, chat, that I'm missing?
Wait, hold on. What's your take on pedophilia? Like that it's based, or let's.
Raping kids is awesome. But no. My take on pedophilia was it's no different from any other mental illness. We cannot condemn it for the sake that it exists. That's my take on it. So like for example, I use this as an example a lot, at least especially nowadays. If somebody has anger issues, they might be more prompt to act out in ways that are unethical. But anger issues in themselves are not morally condemnable. It is something that you
Sure.
find treatment for. That is how I view about pedophilia. Acting on an instinct, you can't control the urge itself, so it cannot be morally determined.
Thoughts
Because
aren't bad, basically.
a moral condemnation implies an ought, which you can't ought. This is descriptively true. This person has this thought. And then the action on that thought is what we'd be morally judging. So I don't know if you could ever construct a system that properly assesses that, especially from a consequentialist point of view. From a consequentialist perspective, it's really hard to argue against that. But then that gets twisted into the idea that, like, I think raping kids is good. But I've already
Well,
debated
seriously,
people
I
on
don't even
it.
know if I would consider pedophilia, like especially like a non-exclusive pedophile. I don't even know if I would consider that a mental disorder. Like if it's not distressing you in any way, and you can fuck adults anyway, like I don't think just having a thought is necessarily even would that even necessarily categorize you as having even a mental disorder. You know, I mean, there's plenty of fucking lolicon people
Well,
can
then,
look at.
and then we're like splicing. In my opinion, then we're just like kind of splicing what is a mental disorder, and I don't know. I don't want to have that conversation. That sounds like a
I think it has to distress you
bad.
in some way. I mean, life has to be bad for you or other people in some way. I think that's yeah, that's
Mm-hmm.
how I usually think about it.
Hey
Okay,
guys, real quick, chat, don't fuck kids. Just,
just so we're clear,
just want to
please
tell you
don't fuck
guys,
children.
please don't rape a kid. I didn't tell you to do that.
All right. All right. You know what? We were kind of up about an hour. Did you have anything that you want to talk about that we missed or that you?
Not particularly.
Yeah.
I probably
This is-
could have
this-
not had my voice crack there. That's gonna fuck with. I'm gonna demand Creeper censor that. Like I said, the N word. I'm gonna tell my editor to censor that and say I said the N word there.
the editor, that. I actually noticed. I will say that your videos are very well put together. It's good job.
I mean, I don't put them together, so. Not me. I've taught Creeper as much as I could. There's sometimes problems with them, but generally Creeper's like really good at getting fucking videos out. It's insane.
Like a friend, or did you hire somebody?
They were a viewer of mine for a long time, and then now they're my friend, and they kind of do it, and I give them Pirate 101 gift cards, as payment. This is what they requested I pay them with.
Parrot 101.
Yes.
What is that?
It's an MMO game for kids from a long time ago. It's really hard to. You gotta Google it. You know Wizard 101?
Yeah.
It's like a game like that by the same people, and you have a membership, and I pay for their membership then they edit the videos.
Awesome.
That's how they
Sure.
requested to be paid, was through Pirate 101 gift cards, and I'm like, okay.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on, buddy.
Yeah, no problem, anytime.
Fuck Bunk. Tired of that dumbass loser. Crying in his bedroom while I'm cruising in my cruiser. This dumbass bitch, thinking that he's cool while streaming on Twitch. Call this Vietnam, we're gonna get you on a weight loss program. Everyone knows, you will never be a pro. Well, I'm putting my rap game, always tripping out, never no problems with burnout. The vids keep coming, so does the drama. Clearing your notepad, your tweets aging with a granddad. Capital of Chad, doing flips. Everyone in the chat